great people that lived throughout the span of life have reached the top of humanity in greatness, in pride, nobility, and in manners and character. Few. Those few who actually they have to have a little bit more, one more criteria. They have to be able to separate from their time and place. In other words, they're no longer now bound by the time that they lived in, nor by the place that they lived in for people to benefit from them. They actually separated from the time and the place to be now owned, and their seerah and their character and their morals and their hikmah and their glory to be owned by the entire humanity throughout all places and all times, till Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes everything from this earth. To those kind of people, the development of humans still aspire. They look up to them. And this is why you see, this is the secret behind the lasting seerah of the Prophets alayhi salam. Adam alayhi salam, Nuh, Idris, Musa, Isa, all the Prophets, thousands and thousands of years, but you still see that people throughout places and times, irrespective of their differences, they still aspire to their seerah, they look up to them, and their mention and their dhikr will be lasting until the last day of this earth. But if history was to stand, if history was to stand in total respect for a seerah or for a sacrifice that a human being made, and if this world was to sit silent out of humility for an offer that a human being made, and if mankind and humanity was to bow down out of respect and honor to a pride that is stemmed from iman in Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it would be the sacrifice of Imam Husayn, and it would be the pride that Imam Husayn and the nobility of Imam Husayn and the sacrifice and the personality of Imam Husayn, karram Allah ta'ala wajhahu wa ruhi al-fida. This is the personality where al-fikr yata'athar, really. Thoughts stop. And the pen cannot really continue to talk, because it is very hard to talk about a human being like Al-Husayn ibn Ali wa Fatima bint Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it is difficult to stand in front of this overwhelming and massive spiritual atmosphere and nur like the presence of Imam Al-Husayn. And it is hard to sit and describe the glory and the nobility and the greatness of the iman that was alive, beating like the iman of Imam Al-Husayn. And it is hard to comprehend a life filled with giving and offer and sacrifice and iman and love to Allah and His Prophet and the believers like the life that Imam Al-Husayn ibn Ali led. And that is no wonder. Therefore, for those who love Al-Husayn, and those who love the seerah of Al-Husayn, and those who love an-nur of Al-Husayn, and those who have ishq of Al-Husayn, we have to open our hearts and minds to see what Al-Husayn was all about. Born right in the house where Jibreel was coming with the wahi, mixed with the revelations of the wahi. That's the birth. Going during the day with his grandfather sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to the masjid, where he's hearing the nur from his grandfather giving to the Sahaba al-Kiram radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. Comes back at night to hear the beautiful and the honorable voice of his grandfather sallallahu alayhi wa sallam reciting Quran at night and doing tahajjud the whole night, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Born to a mother who was Sayyidatu Nisa'il Alameen, the master of the ladies of Ahlul Jannah. To a father who was the fourth righteous Khalifa and what? And Amirul-Mu'minin wa Mawla al-Muwahhideen. The Mawla of all Muwahideen. Man kuntu Mawla, fa'aliyun Mawla. Al-Hadith. Hadith is mutawatir. And a brother who was also a master of Ahl al-Jannah. And to a grandmother, Khadija al-Kubra. Khadija, who was she? The most beloved to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She who the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not marry anyone while he was with her. And he always said, no one is like Khadija. Radwanullahi ta'ala alayha. And she is among the women that were perfected. And only 4, according to the hadith, were perfected. Among them Khadija wa Fatima wa Maryam wa Asiya. And to a brother who was Sayyid Shababi Ahl al-Jannah, the master of the Shabab of the youth of Ahl al-Jannah. So, a grandfather that is Nur, and a father that is Nur, and a grandmother that is Nur, and a mother that is Nur, and a brother that is Nur, lived and born in Nur, lived his life in Nur, and gave martyrdom in Nur, and therefore, huwa Nurun ala Nur, yahdi Allahu li Nurihi man yasha. We talked last khutbah about the movement of Imam Husayn. And I mentioned the hadith that are authentic, that unlike what people believe, the revolution of Imam Husayn was not simply coincidental nor circumstantial, but in fact was prepared for by the Prophet ﷺ himself. Abba an-Nabi ﷺ an-Nas. Right? When he told Anas ibn al-Harith al-Kahili, as الإصابة في البداية والنهاية by Ibn Kathir or Ibn Hafidh ibn Hajar, that Ya Anas, if you see my son Al-Husayn move and go, make sure that you support him. They're supportive. Not only that, the Prophet ﷺ gave signals, warned that the first one that will change the Sunnah was a man from Bani Umayyah, and this is of course an authentic hadith as well. And also further, one more hadith that's also authentic, fulfilling the conditions of Bukhari and Muslim, is that what the Prophet ﷺ says, هَلَاكُ أُمَّتِي عَلَى يَدَيْ أُغَيْلِمَةٍ مِّن قُرَيْشٍ. The perishing of my ummah, the destruction of the ummah will come on the hands of those irresponsibles from Quraysh who will be ruling. In these atmospheres where the Sunnah was changed, and the Sunnah was not only forbidden, no. It's not only that the Sunnah was, you cannot do the Sunnah. If you said the Sunnah, you would be killed. Simple as that. Abu Hurairah fi Sahih Muslim. Again, we talked about it last khutbah, but just to remind you, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu says in Sahih Muslim that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught me 2 things. Batta fiyya wi'a'in, taught me 2 things. The first one I mentioned, and the second, if I mention, they will slit my throat. Abu Hurairah, Sahabi. If he talks about the Sunnah, if he preaches the Sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ taught him, they will cut his throat. They will cut his neck off. Only preaching the Sunnah. Because whatever the Prophet ﷺ says is Sunnah. But therefore someone had to stand up and actually have his throat slit to resist changing of the Sunnah. Not everybody can do that, but some people can. And some people have to. And that's why Al-Imam Al-Husayn stood. Don't say, well, you know, how can you say that it's only 60 years after Hijrah? And Abu Hurairah, Sahabi, and all these people know, how can they kill him? Well, he's not lying. This is Sahih Muslim. Abu Hurairah was not lying. And that's I don't think that's big, because at that time of fitna and all these things, people killed the Sahaba, no problem if they disagreed with them. Here, Abdullah ibn Khabbab ibn al-Arat. Khabbab ibn al-Arat was a big Sahabi radiallahu anhu, the known. Among the very, very early Sahabas, and among the 4, 5, 6 that believed in Islam. His son is also Sahabi, Abdullah ibn Khabbab, older man now. One of his wives was pregnant, going through Iraq. Al-Khawarij stopped him. Question, who are you? I am a Sahabi, Abdullah ibn Khabbab ibn al-Arat. Allahu Akbar. My wife, pregnant, 7, 8, 9 months. They said, one question, what do you say about Ali ibn Abi Taleb? One question. He says, what I know is that he's a good man. He's a man of Jannah. They took and they asked his wife the same question. She replied with the same thing. They took a dagger, a short sword, and opened the belly of his wife while she's pregnant, slaughtered the baby, slaughtered her, and then slaughtered him as well. Big Sahabi, so what? They didn't care. For the chair, for the kursi, nothing matters then for some people, right? In these situations, you think Imam Husayn was going to stop? Seeing the